If you've ever looked at a compensation plan and felt your eyes just glaze over, trust me, you are not alone. So today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the Riman compensation plan. We're breaking it down into simple, easy to understand pieces. By the time we're done here, you'll know exactly how it works, whether you're just here because you love the products or you're thinking about building a real business.
But before we get into any of the numbers, the ranks, the commissions, let's start with the heart of it all, the products themselves. Everything we're about to talk about, all those points and ranks, it all starts right here. These products are the engine that drives the entire business model.
So, okay, we've got great products. That's the foundation. But that brings us to the real question, right? How do you go from being a fan of the products to actually earning an income with them? What are the actual rules of the game? Well, that's exactly what we're about to unpack.
And we've got a clear roadmap to get us there. First, we'll look at the two main ways you can be involved. Then, we'll check out the perks just for customers. After that, we're diving deep into the business side, becoming a planner, climbing those first few ranks, and getting a peek at what the top tiers look like. And we'll wrap it all up by defining those key terms you absolutely have to know.
So let's start at the very beginning. When you first get involved with Riman, you really have one simple choice to make, and it sets the stage for everything else. Are you here for the products, or are you here for the business?
The plan makes this super clear. On one side, you've got the customer. This is someone who signs up just to buy the products for themselves. Simple as that. On the other side, you have the planner. Now, a planner also buys products, but they've raised their hand to be a distributor, with the goal of earning an income by building a team. First, let's talk about that customer path. Because even if you have no interest in the business side, Riman has a loyalty system set up just for you. It's called the Be Young Pool program.
And how it works is really straightforward. It's all based on how much you've bought in the last 12 months. If you spent up to about 4,800 Malaysian ringgit, you're in the basic pool tier. Once you cross that line, you bump up to Pool Plus and you unlock a 5% discount. And for the biggest fans who spend over 14,400, you hit Pool Premium and get a 10% discount on your future purchases. Now, on top of those discounts, every single customer, no matter the tier, earns 5% back in reward points. But there are a few rules you got to be aware of. The points show up in your account 30 days after you buy something, and then they expire 90 days after that. So you have a 3-month window to use them. They're not cash, and here's the big one. If you ever decide to switch from being a customer to a planner, any points you haven't used, they're gone. Okay, so that's the customer side. Pretty simple, right? Now, let's pivot to the reason I think most of you are here. What if you want to build an income? This is where you step onto the path of becoming a business planner. As a planner, your journey is basically a career path. It's a ladder with 7 distinct ranks. Everybody starts as a planner, and you can work your way all the way up to national director. And of course, each new rank opens up new ways to earn. Now, looking at that whole ladder can feel a little overwhelming. So let's zoom in and focus on the first most important steps you'll take. Hitting the ranks of manager and senior manager. This is where you really learn the core mechanics of how to advance in this business. That very first promotion, from planner to manager, is a huge milestone. It's your first real taste of leadership and team building inside this compensation plan. It's a big deal. So how do you get there? Well, it's basically a 3-part recipe. First, you need to rack up 3,000 sales points, or SP, in what's called your personal team group BIG. Second, and this is important, they want you to build a balanced business, so no more than half of that volume, that's 1,500 SP, can come from any one of your team branches or legs. And third, you have a rolling 3-month window to get it done. So once you've figured out the path to manager, the next step up is senior manager. And the good news is, the idea is exactly the same, you're just aiming for bigger numbers. To hit senior manager, the requirements pretty much just double. You're now aiming for 6,000 sales points in your personal team group. That balance rule is still in effect, no more than half or 3,000 SP from a single leg, and you still have that same rolling 3-month period to make it happen. All right, so after you've climbed those first couple of rungs on the ladder, the whole focus of the plan really starts to shift. Let's take a look at the top tiers, because this is where it stops being about just your sales and starts being about developing other leaders. Check this out. You can see a major change happening here. The requirements aren't just about sales points anymore. To become a team leader, yeah, you need 50,000 SP, but you also have to have helped 3 people in different teams become senior managers. And that pattern just keeps going. To be a director, you need to build team leaders. To be a national director, you need to build directors. The plan is literally designed to reward you for helping other people succeed. That's how you build a stable, growing business for everyone.
Okay, so we've been throwing around some specific terms like SP and leg. Before we wrap up, I want to make sure everything is crystal clear. Let's do a quick run-through of the essential vocabulary you need to know for this plan.
First up is SP, which stands for sales point. The easiest way to think about this is that it's the currency of the plan. It's the unit they use to measure pretty much everything that matters, moving up in rank, keeping your rank, and even qualifying for commissions.
Next is the personal team group. Now this one is super important for those early ranks we talked about. This is not your entire organization. It's your immediate circle. It's your own sales, sales from your personal customers, and the sales from the planners you personally signed up, plus their customers.
And finally, we have the term leg. This is so fundamental to understanding how your team is structured. Every time you personally sponsor a new planner, you've just started a brand new leg. And that leg includes that person and every single person they or their team ever brings in forever. It's their entire branch of the organization.
So we've walked through the whole thing, from a customer making their first purchase all the way to the top leadership spots. And it brings us to one last question to think about. The plan clearly starts with a focus on your personal and small team sales, but to get to the top, it demands that you build other leaders. So what does that tell you about what it takes to succeed here in the long run? Is it more important to be a great salesperson or to become a great mentor? That's something to really consider.